Hi, I'm Carol Bickford. Most people know me as Jeff Gordon's mother, but what? But I really don't. Let me just look. I never say it the same. I'm Carol Bickford. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm preparing right now a lasagna dish that was a favorite of the entire family, and it was handed down to me by my own mother. I prepared the ground beef, the Italian sausage, and some fresh minced garlic, and I'm getting ready to pour in the marinara sauce. And I use, I mix it up all the time. Sometimes I use garden vegetables, sometimes I use chunky mushroom. I'm going to put 2 jars in for the recipe that I'm making today. You know, be creative. Use your own judgment, whatever it is that you like, because there's about 1 million different varieties of marinara sauce out there. So I think that, you know, you can find something that suits your taste, and it's going to be just fine in any lasagna. After I put the marinara sauce in, I'm going to put some sour cream in. And this is something that wasn't in my mother's recipe. I kind of came up with this on my own. It kind of gives the sauce a different texture, a little bit of a different flavor, and it was always kind of a secret, but of course the secret's out now. So I'm going to add this sour cream to the sauce, and you can see what a difference the sour cream makes in the color of the sauce. It just makes it a little bit richer. And I'm going to cook this for just a few minutes until it's nice and warm all the way through. And as soon as it's all mixed up and warm, I'm going to start layering my sauce with the different cheeses. And I use Monterey Jack cheese and mozzarella cheese, and I sprinkle with some grated Parmesan cheese. While we're bringing the sauce to a boil, I'm going to add a little bit of salt, just to taste, and then a little bit of pepper. And again, be creative when it comes to the spices that you put. And you can put spaghetti seasoning spices. You can put just about anything you want. I honestly do not think that there's anything that you couldn't put in your lasagna that is going to hurt it. It's just going to add to the flavor. Some people like minced onions in there. Some people, you know, like different things in there. So just be creative, and you won't be able to make a mistake here on the lasagna. Now I'm getting ready to put the sauteed mushrooms that I did ahead of time, and I do that to get rid of some of the liquid. There's a lot of liquid in mushrooms, and when you don't cook them ahead of time, your lasagna tends to be a little mushier. So I like my lasagna a little bit thicker, so I cook the mushrooms ahead of time and saute them in some butter. So I'm going to put the mushrooms in and leave the liquid out. And I put a little bit of garlic salt in the pan when I sauteed the mushrooms, and just a very little butter. You don't need a whole lot. I'm going to stir those in. And pretty much we're about ready to go. Start layering the lasagna in the pan. I've got some lasagna noodles that I'm going to use that you don't have to boil. It's kind of a new thing. I'm used to boiling my noodles, but this time I'm not going to boil my noodles, and I understand that it's fine and everybody loves them, so I'm going to try that this time and start layering. I've got my cheeses all ready to go. I'll get my pan here, and we'll be ready to get this thing looking like a lasagna. And now that the meat sauce is all ready and it's cooked for about 45 minutes, we're ready to assemble the lasagna. And I'm going to take the dish over here, and we're going to start by putting 1 layer of the lasagna sauce in the bottom of the pan. And we're just going to put a thin layer because we're going to end up with probably 2 layers of lasagna but when we're done. So just put a very thin layer, spread it out like I'm doing here. Make an even layer of sauce, and then we're going to put our lasagna noodles in. And the lasagna noodles, do it according to the package, but you can buy noodles that are pre-cooked, or actually that you don't have to cook, or noodles like I'm putting in here now that you don't have to boil. Oops. And to do it so that it's even, I just break a couple of noodles for the sides because the pan is bigger than the noodles are. So I just layer it like that. Then I'm going to put some mozzarella cheese, and I'm going to sprinkle that on top of the noodles and just evenly cover the entire dish with some mozzarella. And I am a cheese eater, so I use plenty of cheese, and I don't skimp and use fat-free cheese. I use the full test cheese. I think it gives it a better flavor, but surely if you're looking at dieting, this isn't the way to go. And then I also put some Monterey Jack cheese on the top of that. And when I get that done, I'm ready for another layer of sauce. And you're going to repeat this, spread it out and evenly over, and we're just going to repeat this process a second time. Layer with the sauce, the noodles, the cheese, and then we're ready to put this in the oven and bake it for, I think, about 45 minutes at 350 degrees. This recipe was a recipe that was handed down to me by my own mother. I've done some variations to it over the years by adding the sour cream and lots of mushrooms, but this recipe became a real favorite of my son's and his friends when he first moved down to North Carolina to start racing stock cars. He ended up moving down here and living with a couple of other guys. And when he came down here to do that, John and I were still living in Indiana. So it got to be kind of a joke that Mom can come down as long as she cooks her lasagna. So every time I'd come down to North Carolina to visit, I always had to bake this. And it just became a favorite of everybody's, and still is to this day. So it's something, when I see some of his two old roommates at the racetrack, they always talk about the lasagna and want me to cook it for them. So it makes me feel good. So I'm done with that. Put my cheese. And you know, really there's no right or wrong way to do this. If you put the cheese before the noodles, it's okay. There's just no wrong way to do it. It's all going to cook together, and it's going to be great no matter if you kind of mess up. And every now and then I do that myself. So just don't hesitate to try different things, and don't worry about it if it's not layered exactly like I'm doing it. It's okay. We're going to put one last layer of sauce on the top of this. And all of this is in the cookbook. All of the instructions are in there, and I always tell everybody that you just can't mess it up. It's one of those dishes that put the kind of sauce that you want in there, the kind of marinara. If you don't like mushrooms, leave them out. It's really not going to matter. Lasagna is one of those recipes that I think gets carried down from family to family, but it does get variations every now and then, and it's okay. Now I'm going to top this with some grated Parmesan cheese, and we're ready to put this in the oven and bake it at 350 for about 45 minutes. And truly, this lasagna recipe is much better the second day. There have been times when I have fixed this and actually not baked it the day that I cooked it. I put it in the refrigerator, let it set for 24 hours, and I'll actually bake it for the first time the second day. So you can try that, but truly it's always better the second day. And it's going to sit over here until we're ready to bake it, but I have one in the oven that I've already baked so that you can see what this looks like as a finished product. Voila! There we go. This is what your lasagna is supposed to look like when you're all done with it. I hope you enjoy this as much as I have, and I hope you enjoy all the recipes in the cookbook as much as I have sharing them with everybody.